welcome to a whole new series on the channel featuring tons of product, tons of Yu-Gi tubers with an £80 budget every month and a tournament against these Yu-Gi tubers. Welcome to the Sealed Only League. Hi guys, just a bit of disclaimer for this video, just to let you know that there was a rule added to the final matches of the Sealed Only League that says you can use pretty much your entire collection for the Sealed Only League as your side deck. So if some of you are ever confused while watching the Sealed Only League's little side skipping bit, just to let you know, that's why I go into a box on the side, because we have pretty much an unlimited side deck from all the cards that we actually got throughout the Sealed Only League. So just a little disclaimer here to let you guys know, but let's get on with the match. Okay guys, so final round of the Sealed Only League, let's go. So dice rolls are happening now. I lose the dice roll and fingers crossed is going to decide who goes first. If I remember correctly, he chose for me to go first because he's playing Cyber Dragons and that is obviously wanting me to go first. So I start off with a Machina gear frame, normal summoning it and declaring effect, searching my deck for a Machina Citadel. Wonder what I'm going to do with that. And what we're going to do next, we go ahead and activate Machina redeployment, discard the Citadel to search 2 Machina cards. Okay, and let's see what we're going to get. We're going to get an Air Raider and we're going to go grab, what else we're going to grab? There's lots of different options we could potentially grab because there's a lot of good cards, and we chose to grab a Citadel. Okay, we discard the Citadel, summon the Air Raider, set free 2, and pass turn. And also guys, you're hearing my audio right now because, well, I accidentally didn't record fingers crossed audio because for some reason it didn't work on my system. But he activates a Cyber Dark, which is going to allow him to search another Cyber Dark from his deck to his hand. He searches a Cyber Dark Claw, I believe it is. The one that adds Cyber Dark spells or traps, and he goes ahead and uses it to search for a Cyber Dark spell or trap. What's he going to get from his deck to his hand? He adds a Cyber... I actually don't know what that does. I believe it's the Cyber Dragon spell card, well, the name of it, it's the Cyber Dragon spell card that goes ahead and activates, searches a Cyber Dark monster, and then allows you to additional normal summon it on that turn. So he adds the new Cyber Dark Power Bond Searcher from his deck to his hand, and what is he going to do from there? So he goes ahead and adds that to his hand, and he normal summons it with an additional normal summon because the spell actually allows him to do that. So he's kind of thinking right now, seeing what his options are, thinking what he can go through, and he activates Monster Reborn. What's he going to target? He targets my Citadel. Very good choice there because it gives him a Raigeki on his board, and honestly, putting 2 Citadel in the graveyard was probably the right choice for me turn 1, especially seeing as it gets them out of the deck, and also now we've played around the Monster Reborn, which did steal my Citadel. So he's currently thinking what to do here, looking at his hand, debating his options, and he's going to go ahead and use the Power Bond Searcher to discard an Infinite Impermanence. Interesting choice to discard because that card could come up very useful later on in the game, but he goes ahead and adds Imperm, discards Imperm to add Power Bond from his deck to his hand, and what's he going to do from there? Like, he's shuffling up, he's adding it to his hand, where's he going to go? So he normal summons a Cyber Dragon Core now. Okay, so Core's going to go ahead and get its mandatory effect to search him any cyber spell or trap. And it seems like fingers crossed is currently thinking to my activation of Air Raider, which I did declare to target Gear Frame. So let's see what he's going to do. He's going to chain my Citadel, which is pretty good because it does stop me from getting a free special in the deck, and he Raigekis my board. We go ahead and get to summon back a Citadel from my graveyard because it was destroyed. Well, face up Earth Machines were destroyed, so he's going to go ahead and think, see what he can do after resolving his core effect. So let's see. Because in a new chain, I will get to actually summon that Citadel, which is very, very strong. So we summon the Citadel, he adds a Cyber Emergency from his deck to his hand, and it seems that I Raigeki'd here. So we go ahead and send all of his monsters to the graveyard, including our Citadel. So what is he actually going to do? Like, he's got Power Bond in his hand, he's got an Emergency in his hand, he has quite a few options of play that he can actually do, and let's see what they are. So he goes ahead and activates the Cyber Emergency, which will allow him to search any Cyber Dragon monster, I believe, or Light Machine monster, and I believe that's a standard Cyber Dragon. You can't really see it on the screen, but I do believe it is an actual standard Cyber Dragon. So he goes ahead and adds that to his hand, and he's currently seeing what else he can actually do. So hopefully he doesn't have anything too insane, otherwise it will prevent us from being able to win game 1, but we shall see. So currently looking at his graveyard for options, thinking what he could potentially do, and he activates a Cyber Replayer Plant, very good card, which will allow him to add any light machine from his deck to his hand. So he's going through his deck right now, thinking what he could potentially search. He goes ahead and adds, I believe that is another Cyber Dragon Core. Interesting choice to add to his hand, because that card is potentially very, very strong, but right now he can't normal summon it, so it's not really going to do anything for him. Now he activates Power Bond, very good there, which will allow him to banish the core from graveyard and use the Cyber Dragon in his hand, because the spell card or the Power Bond Searcher does actually allow him to use use Cyber Dragon in the graveyard to go ahead and fusion summon. So he makes a Chimera Tech, I believe that's Overload Dragon, the one that allows him to destroy back row and also allows him to send cards to the graveyard, which will allow him to attack multiple times. I'm looking at my back row and I lost Wind It to prevent him from being able to actually attack me twice and also destroy both my back row. So he's currently thinking what he could potentially do. Let's see what he's doing. He's looking at his graveyard, seeing if he has any options potentially. Like, potentially he could be doing a lot. So he's reading his core, just thinking what he could potentially be doing with that core in Banish Zone. Don't know if he has anything that he could do it with. And he just attacks me directly for 2100. That's a lot of damage, but good thing it's not as much as it could have actually been. And he takes 21 due to Power Bond's effect at the end of turn. We draw for turn now, and let's see where we're going to go. So we look at our graveyard, we normal summon a Machina Gear Frame. Okay, so we must have top decked that. And we go ahead and add a Possessed Storage from our deck to our hand. Interesting choice. And we go ahead and discard it to go ahead and summon a Radiator, which will allow us to pop the Gear Frame, summon the Possessed Storage, and allow us to get the Citadel back, with also being able to enter into a rank 4, which gives us Gideon X. And where's Gideon X going to go? It's going to get us a Pegasus. Okay, very good. And then we link summon the two into Verte Anaconda, which will allow us to actually make our Dragoon. Now, to be honest, if Fingers Crossed kept that Infinite Impermanence, that would have stopped us completely, but thankfully he didn't, because now we get to go ahead and summon Dragoon from our extra deck. So we go ahead and go to the battle phase and attack for game, and that is all she wrote for game 1. So game 1 went pretty well for us. We were able to go ahead and kill him in the end, and luckily we had the traps and all the cards to go through and win the game. So let's go ahead and go to game 2 now. Okay guys, so in game 2, let's see what's going to happen. So Fingers Crossed is currently shuffling up, we draw our 5 cards, and let's see what happens. So we just set 4 and pass, okay? So we must really have bricked very badly, because of normally setting 4 and passing isn't good. But Fingers Crossed goes ahead and activates a Cyber Emergency, which will allow him to search his entire deck for a Cyber Dragon monster, and of course he gets a Cyber Dragon Core, because that's actually just a very good card to search in general. So he adds that to his hand, and he's seeing what he can do now, after adding the core from his deck to his hand. There are a couple of things he can potentially do, and he activates the spell card that he used last game that will allow him to add the Power Bond Searcher from his deck to his hand and give him an additional normal summon for it. So he has the Power Bond Searcher, and he's most likely going to normal summon it after that. He does normal summon it after that, and he's probably going to use its effect as well, which will allow him to search Power Bond. Question is, what is he going to discard to actually allow him to search Power Bond? Because he needs to discard a spell or trap. He discards an, I believe that's the Parallel Universe Fusion spell, so that's actually something that could potentially be very good for him, but he chose to discard it. So he adds Power Bond from his deck to his hand, and let's see what he does with that. So he normals Cyber Dragon Core, looks through his deck for a card they could potentially use, tons of different options he could use, but he chooses to add, I actually don't know what that card does. I believe it's a search spell for, well, Cyber Dragons that allow you to discard a dragon and send a machine from your deck to graveyard to add one of the two. So he goes ahead and activates Machine Duplication, and I use, well, Compulse to get rid of that core, because we're not going to let him summon 2 Cyber Dragons from his main deck for absolutely free. And now we're seeing what he's going to do from here. So he activates that spell card, probably sending a machine from his hand or a dragon from his hand, and then a machine or a dragon from his deck to his graveyard to search a dragon or machine monster. Let's see where it goes from here. So we're currently just making sure that's what it does, I believe. That's what happened here, because I wasn't sure what it did. So he's going to go ahead and send a machine from his hand, so he's going to send a dragon from his deck to his graveyard. What's he going to send, though? He sends a Cyber Dark Dragon. Well, a Cyber Dark card. I can't actually remember the name. I think it's Horn. It might not be, it might be one of the other ones, but he adds a Cyber Dragon from his deck to his hand and sends a fusion monster to it from his extra graveyard, so the spell must have done that as well. So he's currently debating what he can actually do, seeing the plays, seeing the routes that he could do, and he activates Power Bond. Okay, so Power Bond's going to go ahead and allow him to fusion summon. He goes ahead and uses the 2 to make the Chimera Tech Overload Dragon. Well, no, that's not Overload Dragon, it's Chimera. I actually can't remember the name of that card. A lot of these cards I haven't really read in a long time, so please forgive me if I do get their names wrong. It's either Overload Dragon or it's Chimera. I cannot remember, but we lost Wind, the new Cyber Dragon fusion monster on the board, basically preventing him from being able to send to the graveyard and also halving his attack so I don't take a big 42 stack. And we're going to see where he goes from here. So he's currently looking at his extra deck, thinking about what he could do, and he looks at his graveyard, and I believe that fusion monster, because here he realized he made a mistake, says that you can banish it from the graveyard and then prevent all your fusion monsters from being targeted or destroyed by or affected by effects. So he basically kind of made a slight misplay there that prevented him from playing the game, but now we go ahead and Ring of Destruction the Cyber Dragon fusion monster, so we can go ahead and kill it, so we both take 21, and fingers crossed we'll also take an additional 21 from that Power Bond as well. And we also took a bit more damage because obviously he has that Cyber Dark monster on the board. So we go ahead and lose some life points. He loses some life points. We draw for turn. We discard a Possessed Storage and summon an Air Raider. Pretty good top deck because it allows us to actually put a monster on board, a body, which will hopefully allow us to play the game to an extent. So we're just going to go ahead and see what he can do. He's currently looking at his graveyard, reading his Cyber Dark monster, I don't actually know what it's called, and we're gonna see what he can do. And the monster's name is Rampage Dragon. I completely forgot, but we just remembered the fusion monster is Rampage Dragon. So let's see what he chooses to do. He's currently looking at his hand, thinking what he can do with the monster. I'm kind of curious where he's actually going to go with this, because honestly, one Cyber Dragon could normally summon a Chimera Tech Overload Dragon, or a Fortress Dragon, sorry, but because he probably hasn't pulled it during the Sealed Only League, he can't actually go into it. Like, during this whole game, he was actually really scaring me because I was assuming one Cyber Dragon would be game, but it seems that one Cyber Dragon isn't actually game here, so we'll see what happens. So he swaps his Cyber Dark monster to defense, and we go ahead and use Air Raider's effect to pop itself to special summon an Irradiator from the deck. That's not bad. That will allow us to get an additional Reborn using the Possessed Storage in our graveyard, which will also allow us to go through plays there. So we go ahead and target the Possessed Storage with the Irradiator. He's thinking, we pop it, we use the Possessed Storage, which will summon the Air Raider, and we'll see what goes on from here. Now, we're probably going to go ahead and have 2 monsters and use them to go into a Verte, but we'll see what happens there. But we use Foolish. Oh, that was a misplay on my part, because I should have used the Foolish first, then popped the Irradiator, so we could have the Citadel on board along with what else we actually could have done. So, slight misplay there on my part. It happens. We're all human. Like, it's not the end of the world if you actually misplay. So, we'll see what happens. And it looks like I'm currently just thinking, or fingers crossed is thinking, but we go ahead and link them into our Verte Anaconda, sending the Red Eyes Fusion, and we get Effect Veilered! Oh no, that's not good at all! So we are left on 3,100 life points, and we're just going to have to see what we can do, because we've got a Verte that can do essentially nothing. We're shuffling our deck, we're thinking, we're going to see what we can do, and hopefully we'll be able to play through this. So we just passed turn, not being able to beat over the 21 defense of that Cyber Dark monster. Fingers crossed draws for turn, and he's currently thinking what he can potentially do. We're looking at a graveyard apparently as well, but I'm not sure what we can actually do to come back from this. I feel like we need to draw some sort of earth monster to die so we can summon the Citadel back and then just go from there, but we'll have to find out. So fingers crossed is just looking at all of his options, thinking what's worth it, thinking what he can do. Honestly, he has a lot of different options that he could potentially go through. Like, for instance, if he can get rid of his monster on board, he could banish the Corin Graveyard, which will allow him to summon the Cyber Dragon from deck, doing quite a bit of damage. And there's just quite a few things he could do. So let's see what he's doing. He's just reading his card to make sure of clarification of effects. And let's see. So he's looking at his extra deck again. Honestly, mate, you need to play a bit faster here. But yeah, we'll see what he does right now. And let's see how it goes. So it looks like he's going to normal summon something. And No, he swaps the Cyberdark monster to attack and kills the Vertianaconda, dealing me 300 points of damage. All of that thinking for that, and he sets one card and passes turn. I set a card and pass, clearly having nothing to do, and we'll see what we can do from there. So he goes ahead and normal summons a Cyber Dragon Nashta, which will allow him to go ahead and summon a Cyber Dragon from his graveyard. That card is very, very strong here because it means that it's just going to put me in a terrible position. So let's go ahead and see what he summons. He's holding a extra deck card. Is that the Rampage Dragon? So he's thinking if he wants to summon the Rampage Dragon then, and he does summon the Rampage Dragon. That is not good for me at all. So he has the Rampage Dragon. He's going to go ahead and use its effect to send some cards to the graveyard. He sends a Hertz and a... I cannot remember what that one is. It's the level 4 that is a free summon and also can change levels, I believe, but I'm not too sure exactly. And he adds a Cyber Dragon due to the Hertz's effect. So, okay, where's he going from here? He's looking at his Nashta, seeing his plays, seeing what route he could potentially take. And let's see what he does. So he flips... No, he doesn't flip his face down monster. Okay, so he makes a Chimera Tech... I forgot what... Sega. He makes a Chimera Tech Sega, and we'll see where he goes from there. And we Ice Dragon's Prison, summoning a machine monster from his graveyard to go ahead and banish a machine he can control. So he banishes Core and his Rampage Dragon, and it looks like we take 2100 points of damage. No, 1050 points of damage because of the Lost Wind that we had. So he goes ahead and sets one, we draw for turn, and we just pass turn. Looks like we've got nothing we can really do. He flips his Cyberdark Claw, and that looks like it is game. So going into game 3. So guys, game 3, final game of the sealed only league. Let's see how it goes. I believe I've chosen for Fingers Crossed to potentially go first, but we shall see. So he's looking at his hand. I believe I've chosen him to go first, and he's just thinking what he could potentially do while going first, because Cyber Dragons is not a deck that particularly wants to go first. It's normally a deck that really wants to go second. So hopefully we didn't actually brick and we can actually play the game, and we'll see what happens against Fingers Crossed here. So all the options he's thinking about, potentially routes of play, maybe summoning a Core, maybe going to Machine Duplication, maybe just trying to go places. So he does normal summon a Core, and he's going to go ahead and use Core's effect to just add a cyber spell trap from his deck to his hand. Probably an emergency or a repair plant, but we'll see what he chooses to add. So let's see. So he adds the Cyber Spell, the one that he's added every game turn 1, which is probably going to allow him to add, the Power Bond Searcher, which he instantly discards a triple tactical talent. So pretty much he had to go ahead and get the Power Bond Searcher and discarding the tactical talents to go ahead and grab Power Bond. Okay, let's see where this leads to then. So he's gone at those two. He's thinking what he can do. He's talking about his potential plays with me, I think. And let's see where he's going to go with this. So he adds Power Bond from his deck to his hand, leaving the Core and the Cyber Dark monster on the board. Okay. So he adds that to his hand. And where's he going with this? He's got a lot of different options from the looks of it, but we'll have to find out what happens. So he's thinking about his route still. He activates a Cyber Emergency that he already had in hand. Very lucky there, having Cyber Emergency in hand already allows him to do a lot potentially. Searching any Cyber Dragon monster, getting a Nashta to just get more free summons. Getting a Light Machine in general is just really, really strong. But he gets a Kaiju? So he gets the Jizukiru. That's interesting. I didn't expect to see a Jizukiru there. I would have expected like a Nashta or something to just go ahead and allow him to play a bit further, but did not expect a Nashta. Sorry, a Jizukiru. So he's currently looking at his extra deck, probably debating what he actually wants to do here, because he could make a Sega to go ahead and have a 4-2 beats deck for my turn, and just have less monsters on the board, but we'll have to see what route he chooses to take. So, let's see. So he goes ahead and links those two away, and he summons a Light Charmer? Okay, interesting choice, interesting choice. And let's see what we're going to do. So we activate an urgent schedule. We pulled it first time in the sealed only league in the final month. So that is a very strong card to open in our final game. And we summon a Citadel. Currently looking for what else we can potentially summon here. And we summon a Gear Frame. Okay, so a Citadel and a Gear Frame. Very strong choices to add to our hand. And very strong card, well, not add to our hand, special summon, and very strong choices that could potentially lead to a lot of plays. And we even have a redeployment discarding a Lost Wind. So we can go ahead and get even more good cards to our hand. So let's see what we go ahead and add to our hand. Potentially a lot of different cards that could go ahead and get us to a lot of different avenues. And we had a Possessed Storage and an Air Raider, I think that is? No, it's got 0 defense, so it's probably a Gear Frame. Yeah, we had a Gear Frame and a Possessed Storage, or are we thinking if we want to add them to our hand? Let's see. No, we don't add the Possessed Storage, we add a Citadel? Interesting choice, interesting choice. We'll have to see where this leads. So we summon our Infinitrek Anchor Drill, which will allow us to summon, well, our Citadel from our deck, from our hand. So this basically, so that's the reason we got the Citadel then. We summon a Dingirsu as well, okay, and we send a triple Tactical Talents to the graveyard. So he opened 2 triple Tactical Talents. That is not good for Frost, well, fingers crossed, sorry. Let's see what he does. So let's see what I do, actually, because we're seeing where we can go with this. So we've got 2 Citadels, a Dingirsu. What is our line of play? Because we're currently locked into only attacking with machine monsters as well. And we make a Dreadnought Rail Cannon to go ahead and punch him for 2k with the big bullets. And we go ahead and discard 1 summon and a Radiator. And then we're going to go ahead and overlay into Libe. And then we just go Battle Phase, attack the liner. And then 750 damage, and then that's just pretty much game. That is 5,700 damage that has not gone through yet. He has a Cyber Dragon Core from his deck to his hand, but we just attack him for game, and that is all she wrote. So, guys, that is the last match of the Sealed Only League. Honestly, guys, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for being there on the matches. Thank you for watching the episodes. And, guys, there is one more episode for the Sealed Only League coming out, guys, so please keep an eye out for that. And, yeah, guys, that's all.